안녕하세요. Hunt Paulson here. I am an English teacher living in South Korea. I teach with EPIC, which is the English program in Korea, which, if you are thinking about teaching here, I would highly recommend looking into because it is the best program and I've had such an amazing experience so far. So, I wanted to make a video about what it's like living and working in Korea. I know there are a lot of videos out there that are of a similar nature, but one thing that I've found here and that most people will tell you is that everyone's teaching experience is just a little bit different. Even if you live in the same province or even if you work in the same city. So I wanted to make a video that kind of gives my perspective and hopefully it will help people in their research about potentially coming to Korea. So without further ado, let's do the 11 things to know before teaching in South Korea. Number one, your students and your teachers will have a wide range of English ability. So basically, in Korea, you don't fail as a student. Basically, if you don't do well, it just lessens your chance of getting into a higher level high school or then like a higher level university. But because of that, you can have middle school students who are still at an elementary level and high school students who are still at a middle school level. And then on the flip side, too, I've had students who have lived in Canada or the US or even like the Philippines where they use a lot of English and their English ability is just far exceeds the grade level that they're in. So it can be a little challenging at first, but you will learn to like adapt your lesson plans if that is the case and make it fun and accessible learning material for everyone. In addition, with your teachers, depending on where you are, they could have also traveled abroad and have really good conversational English with foreigners, but some may not do it too often. So don't be surprised if maybe their English level is good, but they're just like a little shy when talking to you because they don't usually have conversational English with a foreigner. So just be really smiley and respectful and kind of slow your English down at first and they will warm up to you. And even the co-teachers that I've had that don't have the highest level of English ability, I've developed a really great relationship with. So number two, learn at least a basic amount of Hangul. So Hangul is the Korean alphabet. It's only 14 consonants and 10 vowels, so it's even easier than the English alphabet, and it's just as easy to write. So when you take taxis and buses in Korea, many of which you will take, it's like the main mode of transportation and trains as well. The destinations and the things you'll have to say when talking to the drivers and stuff won't always be in English. So it's very good if you can at least know the basic pronunciation and at least know how to read the words that you're looking at on a screen just to be able to sound them out to someone. So for looking that up, I would highly recommend Korean Ani as well as Billy Korean. He has a really good video that's learning Hangul in 90 minutes, and it's just basically the full alphabet with pronunciation help. And just to get that little bit down that you need for getting around and for the basic language you might use in your school, it really doesn't take as long as you might think. So definitely look into that. Uh, Number three, students will certainly be fascinated with you. Um, it is not impolite in Korean culture to ask personal questions about weight and height and your relationship status. And I even had a teacher who found my home in America on Google Earth. And just because he really wanted to know where I lived and where I came from, and I wouldn't feel weird about it or anything. When a student or a teacher goes to these lengths or asks these questions, it's just because they are really fascinated with you and interested and want to get to know you as well as they can. Number four, learn a basic amount about Korean pop culture. So just basic things like knowing what songs are on the charts, which is honestly kind of hard to avoid because your students will tell you regardless. And knowing like certain movies and TV shows can really help with planning your lessons because it can give a Korean cultural aspect to the English that you're teaching, which makes the lesson a little bit more relatable for the students and a little bit more fun and can be really good for kind of increasing their excitement about what they are learning. So number five, your workload and the material that you'll teach will vary by school. So, for example, I teach at five different schools, one on each like day of the week, and they're all within like 10 or 15 minutes of each other, like all in the same province, almost even in like the same town. But there seems to be no standard for the textbooks. So, like, I teach two different third grades, and even though the schools are so close, I have like different third grade books and different fifth grade books, and then different books for each one of my middle schools. So that was a little tricky in the first like 2 weeks of like keeping track of, like, I had to get the sticky notes and label, each book and what class was on what lesson in each book. But you get it figured out pretty quickly, and kind of the benefit of that is with when I found myself in that situation, a lot of the times for lesson planning, the teachers more or less just wanted me to follow like a video version of what was in the textbook. So a lot of my lesson planning just became making like games or other fun things to sort of go along with those lessons. So when you get, if that happens to you when you first come here and you just get like handed all these books on the first and second day, like, don't be overwhelmed because it is certainly manageable. Number six, plans change quite often in Korea. It's a very fast moving society. Things are always changing, and especially you being the foreigner, you might be one of the last people to sort of get told about the plans that are changing. So don't be surprised if something like this happens, for example, where you come in and the teacher's like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I have this really important meeting I have to attend. Would you mind leading the class on your own today? And even if it wasn't exactly what you were planning, like the lesson you made maybe included help from the teacher, just try to do your best and make the best of it. Always be respectful to your superior and say, oh, yes, the meeting must be very important. Please go. I will handle the class. And they'll be very grateful and make it worth your while in the long run. And then also on the flip side of that, you can have a lot of days where you come in and they're like, oh, sorry, we forgot to tell you, but we're going on a field trip today. And then it's like you get to go have like a fun day when you weren't even expecting it at all. So plans change, and generally for the better, and it always works out. Number seven, really important, accept any offer or opportunity that comes about. This applies like for when you're teaching and just kind of being in Korea in general. So in the first 2 months of being here, I got offered free Korean lessons by many different people and teachers. My vice principal, who was like a Korean teacher before he was promoted, I got invited to be part of this like English dinner where I go to a native Korean family's home and they make a really nice dinner, and they just want me to talk with them over dinner in English just to keep them and their children's study up to date. I know a lot of people that get offered taekwondo lessons. I was bowling about a week ago, and some people from like a bowling league at that bowling alley saw me bowl, and I used to do it as a kid, so I'm like pretty good. I'm not amazing, but I'm like okay. But I think they just thought it was like so cool. I was a foreigner, like bowling pretty well, so they asked me to be in the bowling league. I've been offered chances to play guitar in like school festivals and like school talent shows and stuff like that. So there's just a large number of things that you'll be asked to participate in or asked if you want to do, and basically just always say yes, because it's going to lead to something great and you're here living in a foreign country to experience as much as possible. So just never think that something, even if it doesn't seem like it's not perfectly for you, isn't going to be worth it, because it totally will be. Um, learn a basic amount. Number 8, learn a basic amount about Korean culture and history. So Korean culture, Hangul is written in a hierarchical structure. So there is a certain way you are supposed to talk to people who are older than you and superiors, as well as like a manner that you're supposed to sort of present yourself in with the bowing and other things that you'll learn about. But in addition to that is a very rich, fascinating history that I surprisingly knew like nothing about before I came here. So I would highly recommend looking into it. Korea has a very, very loyal population that has made that history possible. And some things I've learned in the past, I won't give it all away, but have like literally brought me to tears. So it's pretty fascinating, and the more you know about it before coming in, that you can sort of like talk about on your first few weeks of being here, will certainly impress teachers and other native Korean people that you meet. Number 9, so Korea is not very vegan or vegetarian friendly. Having said that, I do have a lot of friends here who are English teachers who do choose to eat vegan and vegetarian. It's not impossible. But I just wouldn't expect that, oh, because you're the vegetarian teacher at your school, that like the school cafeteria is automatically going to have something every day that's going to like cater to you. So, excuse me, I would expect to prep your own meals and possibly like bring things for your own lunch, and don't anticipate that if you go out to dinner or something with friends, that there'll always be an option for you. But like I said, luckily there are things you can get in the store, and there's even things like G Market and other websites where you can buy a lot of vegan and vegetarian products, and you can even sometimes have like pre-prepped meals sent directly to your house. So that's definitely something I would look into before and during your stay here in Korea. Number 10, try to make foreign friends, or at least have one foreign friend. There's some people who would maybe disagree with this to an extent, who want like a really authentic Korean experience, like absolutely no foreigners. But um, when I first got here, and still to this day, I made some really great friends that were from other English speaking countries teaching in my vicinity, England and America and South Africa. And to this day, we still go out to dinner and hang out, exchange teaching ideas, and it's good to have that person or that few group of people that you can hang out with, even if it's just like a few hours one week or a few hours like every few weeks, where you can sort of be your normal Western self. It'll be good to sort of take a break from the fully immersed Korean environment that you are in. And number 11, travel as much as possible. Um, Korea is only about the size of the state of Indiana. So it is relatively small. Everywhere you can go by like a fairly short bus or train ride. So whether it's by yourself or with the Korean friends that you make, or the foreign friends that you make, just on your weekends and on your days off, look into all the things that you can do in terms of travel. And because there's something for everybody. If you're a city kind of person, there's so many cities. It's a very compact country. But then you can seemingly disappear from the city within an instant and find tons of really high mountains and beaches and things like that. So look into all it has to offer. You are like living in a foreign place, so just make the most of it that you can. All right, so that's it. I hope that was helpful. If you have any additional questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. But if not, I wish you good luck on your endeavors in traveling to South Korea. So, 안녕히 계세요. Bye bye.